Good morning. Going to go over these answers with the anatomy, tissue, and integumentary system review. So we're going to start with station number 1. So this one you had a set of diagrams with, and so for this one, number 1 was which plane was this diagram taken from? Sagittal, transverse, or frontal. There could have been 2 possible answers here. You could have told me a sagittal view or a frontal view, just because you're seeing the side view of everything. So, because this is the one that we're looking at. So, so if it were a transverse, then it would have been cut in half, and you would have had a top and bottom half. But from where it's cut here, it's really hard to tell if it was cut into a right or left side, or if it was cut from a front to a back. So it could have been either or, which is why I would take sagittal or frontal. So, okay. I'm not sure what just happened. Oh, we're done. Okay. Okay. Structures A through G. Letter A was the epidermis. Letter B was the dermis. Letter C was the subcutaneous layer. Letter D was a pore. Letter E was a hair. Letter F was a blood vessel. Letter G was a sweat gland. So, yeah. Number 3, what is excreted from structure D? Since that is your pore, it's going to be sweat. Structure D is attached to structure G, the sweat gland. Number 4, what is the purpose of structure F? Structure F is the blood vessel, so its job is to provide blood to your subcutaneous layer and to your dermis. So that means it's going, since it's carrying blood, it's going to provide oxygen and nutrients to those 2 layers. It could also, you could also say it's there to help remove wastes, since it is blood vessels, and they'll take away wastes as well. It isn't found in structure A because structure A is dead, so they don't need any blood flow. So why waste the energy to pump blood up through that layer when it doesn't even need it? So technically the basal layer needs it, but that's that bottommost layer. So as a whole, we don't say the whole layer needs it. So the epidermis doesn't actually need it. Number 5, why is structure C important to your body? That would be your subcutaneous layer. There's 2 things that you could have there. You could have that it serves as a good insulator, so it helps regulate some body temperature, but it also is there to be storage for energy, so it does store your energy. So in that fat, so, which is what everyone loves, I'm sure. Okay. Station number 2, you had to identify the structures A through D in the diagram. And with this one, let's see if we can go down. And that would be this guy, so I can't really zoom out, but it would have been this. So with structure, or station number 2, structure A, that would have been your erector pili muscle. So that's attached to your hair follicle. Letter B would have been your sebaceous gland. The way you can tell the difference between your sebaceous gland and your sweat gland, your sebaceous gland will always be attached to a hair follicle. So you can always tell that. And then letter C would have been the root base or your hair root. Either one would have been fine. And then letter D was a sweat gland. So it's not attached to the hairs, so not a sebaceous gland. Number 2, why is structure D important? It's important because it secretes sweat, which helps cool your body down, or you could have said it helps regulate your body temperature. Number 3, what structure does B secrete? That would be sebum. And what's that product supposed to do? It's supposed to help lubricate your skin, help keep moisture in your skin. And then too much of that sebum being released can lead to acne or pimples. So a buildup or a clogged pore that's going to have, clogged with that oil and dirt to form that wonderful pimple or acne. Number 4, which structure accounts for the goosebumps? That would be letter A, the erector pili muscle. Because when it contracts, it pulls that hair upright and you get those goosebumps for me. Letter C, what happens at letter C? That's the hair root, or the root base there. You're going to get more hair growth coming out from that particular structure. Okay. Station number 3 is talking about the torso man. So letter A is referring to the frontal view. Letter B is referring to the sagittal view. Letter C is referring to the transverse view. Number 2, the thoracic is what's the name of the body cavity that letter D is referring to? That would be your thoracic cavity. And then the 2 pleural membranes that are found in this cavity would be your pleural membrane and your pericardium cavities, your pleural cavity and your pericardium. Your parietal pleura, I'm sorry. Number 3, what is the name of the body cavity that letter E is referring to? And it's specifically a subcavity. That would be your pericardial cavity or your pericardium. And then what structure is, or what cavity is structure F in? Right. That would be your abdominal pelvic cavity. So, okay. Station number 4 was talking about the heart and the brain models. So you've got number 1, which subcavity contains organ A? That would be your pericardium. Number 2, what kind of muscle makes up organ A? That would be cardiac muscle. What type of tissue makes up letter B? That would be nervous tissue. Number 3, what organ system includes organ A? That would be your cardiovascular or your circulatory system. And for letter B, the brain, that would be your nervous system. Number 4, what cavity contains organ A? That would be your thoracic cavity. So we've already answered the subcavity of the pericardium in number 1. And then with number 2, that would be your cranial cavity. Organ A on number 5 is important to your body because it's going to help move or push blood throughout your body. And letter B just serves as that control center for your whole body, the command center, since it's your brain. Okay, station 5, I'm not sure what happened to that title there, but it should say station 5. Station 5, you had to summarize the 7 levels of organization in the body. It doesn't matter which order you go in. I'm going to go smallest to largest. Smallest level is going to be the macromolecule. You have a whole bunch of macromolecules put together and you get an organelle. Have a whole bunch of organelles put together and you get cells. A whole bunch of cells put together and you get tissues. A whole bunch of tissues put together and you have an organ. Organs working together, you're going to have a organ system, or an organ system, I guess technically. And then when you have an organ system, a whole bunch of organ systems working together, you'll get an organism. So you could have had it in reverse order if you wanted. The 2 sinuses located in your head would be the frontal and sphenoid sinuses. The purpose that they serve, we don't really know. Right now, we don't really know what purpose they serve. Really, no purpose. The integumentary system is important to your body for a couple of reasons. The first being that it helps cover your body. So without your integumentary system, we wouldn't have the skin to cover your body and protect it from bacteria or viruses or anything like that. It also helps maintain body temperature. And then it also is going to excrete waste in terms of like sweat. So you only need one. You don't need all of them. So functions of the skeletal system. I'm not sure. Oh, okay. So we would have basically gone over that. Sorry, I'm kind of talking to myself here. I'm like, oh, we've talked about that in the first part. So your skeletal system, its job is going to be to give you some shape and structure. Without your skeletal system, you don't really have, you're just that pile of skin and muscles and organs. You don't really have a shape. Number 5, why are body cavities important? They're there to help protect your internal organs. So they help with all of that. So, okay. Station number 6, the anatomical position. This was the one with the little bear. The anatomical position that A and D are referring to. A is referring to the dorsal side, the back side. B is referring to distal. Something kind of far away. C is referring to ventral. And D is referring to proximal. So, number 2, is E superior or inferior to F? It would be inferior, it's below. Number 3, which is more distal, G or H? That would be H. It's the more further away from the torso. Number 4, which structure is the most inferior, F or I? That would be letter I, it's the lowest. And then which structure is more proximal, F or I? That would be letter I again. So it's going to be closer to the torso. Okay, last station. Maybe. There we go. You have to describe the structure of the epidermis. So you've got It's going to be made up of stratified squamous epithelial tissue. So it's layered, flat epithelial tissue. So stratified squamous epithelial tissue. Number two ways that the dermis helps regulate our body's temperature. The blood vessels are going to expand and contract as needed to either conserve heat or give off heat. They're going to expand when you want to give off heat, and they're going to contract when you want to conserve heat. Number three, why is a third-degree burn that destroys the epidermis and dermal layers such a serious injury? Because you're basically getting rid of two very important layers and you're only leaving one behind. So you don't have those extra layers for protection. So you're more susceptible to infection at that point. Number four, what type of tissue makes up each layer of the skin? Your epidermis is made up of epithelial tissue. Your dermal tissue, your dermis, is going to be made up of connective tissue. You could argue there's some muscle tissue and nerve tissue in there with the nerves and the erector pili muscle. And then your subcutaneous layer is going to be made up of connective tissue. And then lastly, which of the four types of membranes is the skin grouped into? That would be cutaneous, because it serves as a cover. So this kind of wraps up this particular review. This is the stuff that'll be on your quiz on Friday. So it'll just have some, I think I have a diagram of the skin on there, so you'll have to identify some parts of it. So if you do have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask, and I'll try to help you out. Otherwise, I hope you have a good day.